Hey, what's going on YouTube? Eric Carthage here on Rome Total War. We're going to get a little bit of action going on the Prippet Marshes map of Rome Total War. So this should be pretty fun. I'm trying to think what faction I should use. I think I've used Carthage in recent history. Actually, I forgot. I need to reset my game controller real quick. Give me just a second. Alright, got my game controller set up to the Rome settings. I had it set on the Shogun settings. This might be kind of fun to try and use Gaul, because it's in the woods, like I can stay in the woods, and the barbarians get a bit of a bonus. This is going to be pretty tricky, though, because obviously the Romans are much, much stronger, but the Gauls have a couple interesting units. We'll try. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of this, though. This is going to be a very risky proposition, to say the least. What sucks for the Gauls is, like, these warbands, you think these guys are, like, they're spear units, so they're good against cav, but if you actually look, they don't have a combat bonus versus cavalry. So the Gauls don't have a single unit that has a combat bonus versus cavalry. So yeah, they're terrible. However, there's a few things you can do with the Gauls, though, to get some pretty good effects. So let's go ahead and start picking the army. I'm going to pick a barbarian chosen warlord for my general. It's kind of an expensive unit, but it'll help keep him safe because of the 2 hit points. And the barbarian noble cav is just really bad. I'm only going to bring 2 of them, and even though these guys don't have a bonus verse cav, well, actually, let me show you what I'm going to do for the army picking. I'm going to pick 2 foresters. You don't want to bring too many of these guys because they're real expensive and they'll own other archers. I am going to bring a unit of druids. You want these guys because they're going to support your troops. I don't really want to upgrade them because I want to save the money. I'm going to bring a bunch of chosen swordsmen because these are the only troops that you have available that have a chance of breaking urban cohorts, and even then your chances aren't super great. And I'm going to just upgrade the attack on these naked fanatics. I'm going to bring several units of them to try and use as a flanking force. I have a little bit of money left. Trying to think what I want to do here. What do I want to do? Maybe I'll just go ahead and upgrade my general because he's sure to end up in a fight. Okay, so a couple of the tricks with Gauls, you've got to keep your general alive. You've got to support your cavalry in the cav fight, because unless you're playing like pre-Marian Rome, then your cav is worse. Which is kind of stupid because the Gauls tended to have better cav than the Romans, but because of Praetorian cav, wow, he's only got 270 soldiers? Are you serious? Okay, he's repicking his army. Okay, I was getting ready to say, what the heck did he pick? So the druids will support the morale of your men. My guys get a combat bonus in the woods, so I will not leave the woods on this map. I'm going to fight from the woods. My foresters will pwn any bows he has, even if he has twice as many of them, just because the foresters have huge range. They're the best archer on the game. A lot of people don't realize that they're the best archer on the game. And they also can hold their own in a fight against cavalry because they have like a little spear. So they have a pretty good, like, look at their melee attack is 11. So they can hold their own against cavalry for just a few moments. Also in the woods, what's going to go positive for me is the fact that enemy cavalry suffers a detriment versus infantry when it's in the woods. So they're not quite as effective in the woods, like as far as charge and attack and everything else. So the woods are going to be the key to this match for me. I'm going to wish my opponent good luck, have fun. See, my name for this match is Emperor Patchy, and I might show the replay too, just try and get some close-ups and stuff, but and I may have to be, like, I'll probably have to stay busy trying to keep up with my micromanagement. I'm going to keep these troops back here. My forester warbands I'll put up front, and I'm not going to put them in loose formation right away. I am going to take them off a skirmish, though. Put my general back here. Keeping your general alive, like I said, absolutely critical. And you want to keep these druids alive too, and you got to keep those druids right behind your troops when you're in the middle of a fight. I'm thinking about hiding my noble cav over here. I don't know if that's smart or not. It's quite a ways away from my army, so I don't know how well I can support my army with them. We'll see whether or not it's a mistake. So the naked fanatics have a really high attack. You also want to make sure you use your war cry before you get into a fight with the Gauls. I'm going to group my units to start with just to make it easier to move them at first, and then I will ungroup them, because sometimes when you click attack orders with your units in groups, it ends up doing weird stuff. So yeah, you want to make sure the druids are chanting. You want to stay in the woods. Snow also helps with barbarians. You have to use the war cry because it improves your attack. And then you want to maximize the use of your foresters here. So it says that the balance is evenly matched. We'll see. I find it hard to believe that Gaul is ever evenly matched versus Rome. See what my opponent's brought. A line of urban cohorts and a crap load of Praetorian Cav. I don't really know that it's even possible for me to win this fight, to be honest. That Praetorian Cav alone could probably kill my entire army. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I am in the woods. I'll have the druids and stuff. I'm not going to leave the woods. My archers are pretty much worthless now, except for maybe protecting my back lines for a second from Praetorian Cav. Wow, my opponent like took a total Roman crapo spam right here. My archers are super long range though, so I'm going to start firing from the woods. They're going to have little to no effect from back here. I am going to ungroup my units just real quick. My foresters won't have any effect on those urban cohorts. I am going to move up a little bit where I can shoot his Praetorian Cav. I don't really want to rush up though. Wow, I hate armies like this that people bring with the Romans, just because they are so cheap. I did a bunch of testing with the Praetorian, or the urban cohorts, and the guys are like, I mean, like, I've talked about them being overpowered before, but I'm actually going to run, like, kind of a little webisodes with Hannibal Bonaparte eventually that's going to be showing some of the units by statistics in Rome Total War, and I will give you some first-hand knowledge of just how overpowered the urban cohort is. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if the urban cohort was capped, I wouldn't really have an issue with that, but it is not capped, and so it's kind of ridiculous. I'm going to try and cut down some of his Praetorian Cav here with my foresters, so I'm going to focus some fire on his Praetorian Cav, but these guys are pretty well armored too, and you can see that my volley didn't kill a single horse. Of course, I mean, the horse isn't armored, so I hate that that's the case. I'm going to pull back one of my chosen swordsmen here. Start my druids to chanting. Okay, here comes the war cry. I don't want him to throw his pillow. So I'm going to charge straightway. I want my opponent to start bringing his cav in. I'm going to keep my naked fanatics and foresters and everything back here to help fight off his cav. I'm going to try and outflank just a little bit. Oh wow, I have a route going. I got a route going. If I can kill his infantry here in just a second, I might have a chance. I got to keep my general safe though. This is bad. I got troops on my back lines. I'm not sure if he sees my hidden cav coming in yet though. I gotta get these urbans out of the fight. He's going for an intercept on my Gallic cav right now though, but his infantry line is wrapping up. I've got a chance. I still don't have great odds, but I do have a chance of winning this fight. Good, his infantry line just crumbled. I'm gonna try and take out his Praetorian cav that's right there. Good, they routed. I got more Praetorian Cav routing. Holy crap, am I really going to pull off a win against this urban spam? Yeah, so Gaul, your only chance is to strike quick and strike hard. That is your only chance against the Romans. Like, you have to get that war cry on, and you have to get into their infantry. The chosen swordsmen have the ability to break Roman infantry just because of the war cry and stuff. They can cause a lot of damage quickly off the charge, but if you don't do it quickly, then you won't be able to pull it off. So Gaul is very underpowered, but in certain situations you can pull off kind of a clutch victory like this if you're lucky. But like I said, you have to know how to do it. You've got to use the druids. You've got to have a little bit of an element of surprise, and you've got to quickly dispatch your opponent's infantry. Because some of your units do have pretty high attack numbers.
Your warriors have killed until they can kill no more.
So we'll tell my opponent good game. That was pretty interesting. We'll go back and watch the replay too, just so that we can kind of see what happened in that infantry fight since I didn't get to zoom in. But that was a heroic victory for me. Wow, amazing. I didn't actually expect that. I kind of expected to lose. So some of you are going to say, but Eric, you were just saying the urban cohort is overpowered. Well, it is. Can it be beaten? Yes, it can be beaten. But it is pretty overpowered. The only thing that really saved my butt there was being in the woods, because I get a combat bonus in the woods. I use Warcry, I had the druids, and all that stuff kind of added together to be able to give me an actual possibility of beating my opponent there. And so you might be saying, again, you won, so why are you saying they're overpowered? Well, it's mainly the price. So they either need to cap it or change the price. Like, so if you play any of the later Total War games, you'll notice that CA has unit caps on elite units, and they also have them like much more expensive, kind of like Empire, Napoleon, Shogun. It's all that way. And it just kind of makes the battles a little more varied. Now, I'm not saying that Rome Total War isn't fun. It's a fun game. And oh crap, accidentally loaded the wrong one. Sorry. Yeah, let's check out this replay real quick. This is the right one.
Await my orders.
So my opponent's army was very elite, but it was kind of few in numbers, and a lot of people are surprised a lot of times how easy urbans will rout against the chosen swordsman. I don't know why it is. It just happens sometimes. Like, these guys don't have a scare ability, but there's just something about the fact that you get them all doped up on Warcry and charge, and if they're in the woods or the snow, they just have that extra combat bonus, and they already have pretty high attack. And so something about it will just cause like the Roman troops to rout sometimes. But if you're fighting on open ground or something like that, it makes that much more difficult. So when you play as a barbarian faction, you should definitely play in the woods. Now, the Roman players, what I would do if I were fighting a barbarian faction is probably not bring quite so elite troops. Now, I'm not saying you can't win with it, but I would bring more troops, because pound for pound the Roman troops are better. And if you don't allow yourself to be outflanked by the barbarian troops and you have a more diverse army, even though they have some bonuses in the woods, you'll probably win the fight. And but even with an urban praetorian spam, you have to respect the barbarian troops in the woods or in the snow. But open ground cavalry fights are usually what kills the barbarians, just because they have terrible cav. Now, the Germans have Gothic cav, which isn't bad. It's better than the barbarian noble cav, but it's not good. So there's all my Gallic troops. These are the Forester warbands. These guys, like I said, they're definitely the best archers in the game. They'll even beat Cretan archers, so check it out. Me shooting these Praetorian cav, and it's not doing anything. Of course, I mean, these guys are pretty heavily armored, so I'm not really going to complain about that. Had my barbarian cav. Now, this ended up working out good. He caught one of my units of barbarian cav, but the other one actually got in there, and I'll show you that. So let's take a look at the setup here so you can see it pretty clearly from above. The Naked Fanatics, like I said, they have a huge attack, and the reason you want to use these guys is to support your cavalry. They can absorb a cavalry charge and then allow your cavalry to be more effective. They can protect your general, and they can outflank if necessary. So they're not a bonus versus cav, but they have a huge attack. And like I said, they can be used to slow down an enemy cav charge. So I'm going to pull my Foresters back. These Foresters aren't bad in a melee fight either. They're not great, but they're not bad. They pull out a little spear, and they'll actually hold their ground pretty good. So again, you'll see me drawing my opponent into the woods. The Roman troops, historically, never did too well when they got drawn into the woods by barbarian factions. So that's a lot of times why the Romans would use like fortified camps and stuff when they would go into barbarian territory. These urbans are just under, well, one of them was not gold, but these, some of you have asked me, how do you tell the upgrades? See these little flags here? There's 6 of them, which likely means that it's gold. Now, it could be like gold attack and then like part experience chevrons. This is where my opponent moves to outflank me. Smart move, but he still doesn't know about my barbarian cav, which I'm kind of sitting on. I really wish you could move units while hidden like you could in Shogun 2. That would make Rome Total War like crazy fun. I finally killed one unit in his general. Okay, let's watch the infantry charge here. So you can see my guys war crying. They're going to catch the Romans off the cuff. My opponent didn't get a chance to throw his pillar, so my guys are going to win the charge. There is the initial charge. Now this unit seemed like it broke really fast. I'm going to see it's a little bit outflanked. Look, shaken. Look how fast these guys are dying. Boom, just like that. It was because they were outflanked a little bit and they started dying fast. And I'm actually winning every bit of the infantry fight up front just because of the bonus from the woods and the war cry. This is where I'm starting to slow down the enemy cavalry attacks. He tries to stop this outflanking move by my chosen swordsman. Let's check that out. So my chosen swordsman, I think I just turned them into that fight. And then there comes my naked fanatics to pull in the surrounding. The infantry fight's still wrapping up here. I'm going in for another surrounding move, so it's going to crack these urbans. Now once the Urbans stabilize, they're going to be pretty strong. He brings in a cav charge over here on my Foresters and Naked Fanatics, but he's going to get bogged down. He should have used this unit to come in for some hammer and anvil real quick, but it's too late. His infantry line's wrapping up, and then check it out. Boosh! There comes my Gallic cav to save the day and wrap up the rest of these urban cohorts. So again, very quick fight, very decisive fight, so it had to be quick and decisive, or else my opponent would have won. I'm really impressed, those chosen swordsmen against the urban cohorts. So when you play pre-Marian battles, the Gauls are actually very strong versus the Romans. So yeah, you have to be careful. You have to kind of limit the number of chosen swordsmen in pre-Marian battles. Check that out. There's my general helping knock out these Praetorian cav.
The enemy warlord is dead, slain by your brave warriors.
Yeah, so this is a pretty fun fight. I'm really surprised it turned out the way it did. But it turned out good. It's not often that I get to beat the Romans with Gaul. But my opponent did kind of fall for my trap. Everything just kind of worked out to my favor. We'll knock out the rest of this Praetorian cav. My opponent had a lot of good troops. If he would have maneuvered his troops right, he probably would have won this fight. And also if he would have thrown his pillar, it would have changed the infantry fight a little. But
your warriors have killed until they
you got to count on shock
no
attack
more.
with the
This
Gauls.
is a
That's the only way to do
victory.
it. Those druids, the shock attack, the war cry, you've got to throw it all in there in order to pull it off. Let's take a look at the stats real quick. 79 kills. Forester warband. Wow, Forester warband with 79 kills. They must have gotten a lot of those in melee too. Chosen swordsman did good. Anyway, fun battle. Hope you all enjoyed that.